Jake Turner never expected his vacation day to end his career at TechPro Automation. "This shows you're not committed to our team," sneered Marcus Ellis, the company's vice president of sales, as he leaned back in his leather chair, delivering the firing like a twisted favor. Jake, just 29 years old, had spent 4 relentless years bringing in millions for TechPro, yet his paycheck barely reflected his hard work. Still driving the same decade, old Honda his parents helped him buy in college, he sat quietly, facing Marcus's expensive suit and sun-kissed confidence earned from Miami business trips in the dead of winter. Marcus waited for a reaction, begging, pleading, or outburst. But Jake simply said, "I understand." Without protest, he packed his few belongings, a coffee mug from his sister, a couple of pens that actually worked, and a small cactus he'd somehow kept alive under fluorescent lights for 3 years. The office fell silent as whispers spread. Coworkers pretended to focus while stealing glances at the man who had just been cast out despite delivering over $2 million in new business last quarter. His direct supervisor, Tom Daniels, who'd taken credit for half Jake's deals and promised raises he never approved, avoided eye contact and mumbled, "Turn in your badge." Jake walked out lighter, unburdened but unsure of what lay ahead. For years, he had believed in TechPro's promises of loyalty and growth, but now he faced a harsh reality: loyalty didn't protect those who dared to seek better opportunities, even when it was with a single, earned day off. Jake Turner's journey at TechPro Automation had been anything but easy, yet he had dedicated himself wholeheartedly. Straight out of college with a business degree and a decent GPA, Jake knew that his strength wasn't just in closing deals, but in truly connecting with clients, understanding their needs and crafting solutions that worked. His father, a seasoned pharmaceutical salesman, had always emphasized, "A good salesman sells products. A great salesman solves problems." It was advice Jake took to heart. For the first 2 years, Jake threw himself into his work. He logged 60-hour weeks learning the intricacies of industrial automation, nurturing relationships across the Southeast with manufacturers who relied on TechPro's products. His efforts didn't go unnoticed. He earned Rookie of the Year, and then Top Performer the following year. Jake believed he was building a promising career. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Despite doubling his manager Tom Daniels' sales numbers, Jake watched as Tom ascended to higher positions, claiming credit for deals Jake had painstakingly cultivated. Tom secured perks, a company car, exclusive meetings, and invitations Jake never received. Minor slights piled up: misplaced meeting invitations, late client info, and subtle undermining comments during team discussions. Jake endured it all, believing his hard work would eventually pay off. The breaking point came last month with the Abbott manufacturing deal, TechPro's largest contract that year, worth $2 million. Jake had flown to Chicago thrice at his own expense, sacrificed weekends, and missed family events to close it. Yet, when the team celebrated, Jake was conspicuously absent from the festivities. He learned of the outing through social media. His repeated requests for a raise were brushed aside. The company claimed compensation packages were under restructuring. That night, feeling undervalued and overlooked, Jake updated his resume for the first time in 4 years. A week later, Vanessa Mills, a former client now at Revelan Publishing, reached out on LinkedIn. She invited him for coffee and casually mentioned they were looking for someone to lead their new business development division, a role tailored for Jake's skills. Taking a single earned vacation day for the interview was the spark that ignited his downfall at TechPro. Someone spotted him in the building lobby and informed Tom Daniels. The next day, without warning, Jake was summoned and fired. The news spread like wildfire through the office. As he packed his things and left, Jake sat in his car in the parking lot for nearly an hour, staring back at the place where he had invested 4 years of sweat and hope. His phone buzzed incessantly. Messages from concerned friends and family, a sympathetic text from Vanessa inviting him to join Revelan. Jake turned off his phone, drank a beer in his empty apartment, and for the first time in years, did nothing. No emails, no calls, no worries. When he finally answered messages, he found support from unexpected places. His father saw it as a blessing in disguise. They showed you who they really are. No more illusions. For Jake, the firing was a painful but necessary wake-up call. He went on to ace the Revelan interview, impressing the team with his reputation and expertise. Offered the role of Regional Director of Business Development with a salary double what he earned at TechPro, Jake accepted immediately. Revelan equipped him with a proper office, a team, and most importantly, a clear path to grow, something he had never had before. The transition was invigorating. Jake reached out to former colleagues. Many congratulated him, though Tom and Marcus remained silent. Jake didn't care. For the first time, he felt like he belonged. Yet the fight wasn't over. TechPro soon sent a cease and desist letter claiming Jake violated a non-compete agreement he never knowingly signed. Worse, they launched a campaign to tarnish his reputation, accusing him of stealing client files and inflating contract numbers to claim higher commissions. But behind the scenes, cracks began to appear in TechPro's house of cards. A former colleague, Tyler, revealed that Marcus Ellis had been running a secret scheme, skimming commissions from sales deals for years. Tyler, burdened by guilt, came forward with evidence, emails, spreadsheets, and proof of the fraud. Together, Jake and Tyler uncovered a pattern of deception involving senior executives, with millions skimmed from honest salespeople. The fight escalated beyond a mere non-compete dispute. It became a battle for justice against systemic corporate fraud. The moment Jake Turner realized the corporate walls around him were closing in, he knew he had to act. But the stakes were far higher than he initially imagined. His former colleague, Tyler Reynolds, who once shared his struggles, reached out with a secret that shook the foundation of TechPro Automation's sales department, a vast, ongoing scheme siphoning off commissions from hardworking salespeople. Tyler was hesitant at first, shadowed by fear for his own livelihood, but he trusted Jake enough to reveal what he had uncovered. Behind the polished veneer of TechPro's sales success was a hidden ledger, a set of spreadsheets that documented two commission structures, the official one and the real payouts. The difference was being diverted into a shadow account dubbed the Executive Performance Fund. It was a corporate theft masked by false accounting and silence. The more Jake learned, the more the puzzle pieces fell into place. The small adjustments and unexplained deductions from his own paycheck were part of a larger pattern that had affected dozens of sales staff over years. Tyler's courage in coming forward was not just a personal act. It was a beacon for others who had been silenced by intimidation and fear. Together, they dug deeper. Tyler connected Jake with Kevin Blackwell, a former top performer who had abruptly resigned amid rumors that had been planted to tarnish his reputation. Kevin's truth was even more damning: extensive documentation of expense fraud, vendor kickbacks, inflated project costs, and systematic manipulation by TechPro's senior leadership. Kevin had paid a heavy price for speaking out. His family was threatened, his reputation attacked, and his career derailed. Yet, despite everything, he held on to a trove of irrefutable evidence: bank records, emails, and detailed financial reports. This was the smoking gun Jake and his legal team needed. With the support of Revelan Publishing's legal department, Jake prepared to escalate the case beyond mere employment disputes. They filed complaints with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the State Attorney General's office, signaling the start of a full-scale federal investigation. As the authorities moved swiftly, TechPro's leadership found themselves cornered. Raids at corporate headquarters seized computers, servers, and files, revealing the breadth of the fraud. Senior executives, including the CFO and Marcus Ellis, were escorted from the building under heavy scrutiny. While the company attempted to smear Jake's name publicly, alleging theft and manipulation, the tide was turning. Former employees, emboldened by Jake and Kevin's courage, stepped forward with their own stories of exploitation and deception. A class action lawsuit was soon underway, seeking justice for countless victims of the corrupt system. Despite the mounting pressure, Jake remained focused on building his new division at Revelan. He avoided public drama, channeling his energy into leadership and growth. His team doubled revenue within a year, attracted top talent, including several former TechPro employees, and restored integrity to the business. The legal battle culminated in a landmark settlement. TechPro's executives pleaded guilty or faced convictions. The company was sold off for a fraction of its former value, a stark contrast to the booming potential it had under Jake's stewardship. One day, Jake received an unexpected email from Marcus Ellis, requesting a meeting to explain the chaos. Jake forwarded it to his attorney, never replying himself. Soon after, headlines announced the resignation of TechPro's CEO and board amid the scandal. 3 months to the day after his dismissal, Jake was awarded $147,000 in back commissions and damages, a bittersweet victory reflecting both justice and the cost of exposing corruption. Sitting in front of his new team at Revelan, Jake reflected on the journey. Success was no longer just about numbers. It was about transparency, fairness, and respect. His promotion to vice president was proof that integrity and perseverance could overcome even the darkest corporate betrayals. At dinner with his family, Jake's father toasted him, not for winning the fight, but for fighting right. Jake smiled, knowing that the hardest battles often teach the most valuable lessons. Build something that lasts. Never compromise your values, and trust that truth will eventually prevail. After the legal storm began brewing, Jake Turner found himself thrust into a battle far beyond a typical workplace dispute. The company he had devoted years to, TechPro Automation, was trying not only to block his progress at his new job, but to destroy his professional reputation altogether. Their tactics were ruthless: forged contracts, false allegations, and a campaign of intimidation designed to silence him. Jake's first shock came when he received a cease and desist letter claiming he violated a non-compete agreement, one he never knowingly signed. The signature on the document was suspiciously forged, and the clause itself was designed to unfairly restrict his ability to work in the industry. As he scrambled to prove his innocence, false rumors began circulating that Jake had stolen proprietary client files and manipulated sales contracts to inflate commissions. But cracks began to appear in TechPro's carefully constructed facade. A confidential call from Jessica, an accounting clerk still employed at TechPro, revealed startling inside information. She witnessed Lawrence Bennett, the vice president who had fired Jake, secretly downloading client files from the company server immediately after Jake's departure and then deleting the originals. She feared for her job and couldn't come forward publicly, but wanted Jake to know the truth. As Jake's legal team pieced together evidence, a former colleague, Tyler Reynolds, stepped forward with damning proof of widespread commission skimming. Tyler exposed that senior executives had been diverting millions in sales commissions to secret accounts over many years. His evidence included hidden spreadsheets, email chains, and financial transactions that painted a picture of systemic fraud. The revelations didn't stop there. Jake located Kevin Blackwell, another ex-TechPro top performer, who had been forced out under dubious circumstances. Kevin carried documents exposing expense account fraud, vendor kickbacks, and inflated project costs orchestrated by the same executives. His story was heartbreaking. Threats against his family silenced his fight, but his evidence was irrefutable. With mounting evidence, Jake and his legal team took the case to regulatory authorities. The Securities and Exchange Commission and State Attorney General's office launched thorough investigations. Federal agents raided TechPro's headquarters, confiscating computers, servers, and documents. Executives, including Bennett and the CFO, were publicly escorted out and faced criminal charges, despite attempts by TechPro to publicly defame Jake, accusing him of theft and manipulation. The tide had turned. Former employees came forward, sharing similar stories of exploitation and deception. Class action lawsuits followed, demanding justice for those cheated out of rightful compensation. Throughout the ordeal, Jake stayed focused on rebuilding his career. Supported by Revelan Publishing, he poured energy into his new division, which soon doubled in revenue and attracted top industry talent, including former TechPro colleagues. Integrity became his hallmark, a sharp contrast to the corrupt culture he'd left behind. Months later, the scandal culminated in guilty pleas and convictions for TechPro's leadership. The company was sold at a fraction of its previous valuation. Meanwhile, Jake received a settlement for unpaid commissions and damages. A victory hard won but sweetly deserved. The once powerful figures who tried to derail his career were now facing the consequences of their actions. TechPro's CEO and board resigned amidst the scandal, while Jake's reputation flourished. At a company meeting celebrating their quarterly success, Jake was promoted to vice president, a testament to his resilience and dedication. Sitting down with his family that evening, his father praised him not for the victory, but for maintaining his principles throughout the fight. Jake's journey illuminated an essential truth: success is not merely about numbers or titles, but about integrity, perseverance, and standing up for what is right, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Jake Turner's journey through adversity was far from over after he secured the position at Revelan Publishing. Almost immediately, he faced a barrage of legal challenges and character attacks from his former employer, TechPro Automation. The company, intent on preventing him from succeeding, wielded a questionable non-compete agreement against him, a document that bore his signature but one he didn't recall ever signing. The alleged agreement barred him from working for any competitor within 100 miles for a year, effectively threatening his new job. The document surfaced suddenly, 3 years after he had started with TechPro, coinciding suspiciously with a performance review where he had been handed a stack of paperwork to sign without much explanation. The signature was authentic, but the content seemed altered or misrepresented. As the legal battle intensified, TechPro went on the offensive, accusing Jake of stealing proprietary client files and inflating contract values to claim higher commissions. Rumors spread within the industry, threatening to tarnish Jake's hard-earned reputation. However, inside sources hinted at a darker reality. Jessica, an accountant still employed at TechPro, confidentially contacted Jake. She revealed witnessing the vice president, Marcus Ellis, downloading entire client folders from the server after Jake's departure and deleting originals to fabricate evidence against him. Though she feared for her job, Jessica's courage gave Jake a crucial insight into the lengths TechPro was willing to go. Simultaneously, Tyler Reynolds, a former colleague, disclosed a long-running scheme where executives skimmed millions from the sales commissions of TechPro employees. Tyler presented Jake with spreadsheets, emails, and bank records proving a shadow account labeled Executive Performance Fund, used to divert these funds. Tyler himself had been complicit at times but regretted staying silent. The story deepened when Kevin Blackwell, a once top-performing salesman who had mysteriously resigned amid allegations of substance abuse, reached out. Kevin shared documented proof of widespread fraud involving inflated expenses, vendor kickbacks, and manipulated project costs, orchestrated by senior leaders including Marcus and the company's CFO. Kevin's testimony was tempered by threats against his family, which had forced his silence. With this mounting evidence, Jake and his legal team approached the Securities and Exchange Commission and the State Attorney General's office. The investigations were swift and thorough, culminating in federal raids on TechPro's headquarters. Computers, servers, and critical documents were seized. Key executives, including Marcus and the CFO, were publicly removed and faced criminal charges. Meanwhile, the public smear campaign against Jake faltered as former employees came forward, corroborating his claims and revealing the toxic culture at TechPro. A class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of cheated employees seeking rightful commissions. Throughout these trials, Jake remained focused on building his new division at Revelan. He avoided distractions, dedicating himself to creating a transparent commission system and a workplace culture built on integrity. His division's revenue doubled, attracting industry talent, including several former TechPro employees who sought a fairer work environment. After months of legal battles, TechPro's leadership pleaded guilty or faced conviction. The company was eventually acquired at a significantly reduced valuation. Jake was awarded back commissions and damages totaling $147, a tangible acknowledgement of the injustice he endured. The final blow came with the resignation of TechPro's CEO and board, clearing the way for a fresh start. Jake's reputation was restored and his career flourished. At a company meeting, Vanessa Mills announced his promotion to vice president, a recognition of his resilience and commitment to ethical leadership. That evening, Jake shared a quiet moment with his parents. His father's words resonated deeply. "I'm proud, not because you won, but because you stayed true to who you are." Jake smiled, understanding that the real victory was maintaining his integrity in the face of adversity. His journey taught him a vital lesson. Success built on honesty and perseverance endures far longer than any fleeting victory won through deceit. And sometimes, the path forward requires standing firm against the storm, knowing that truth will ultimately prevail. After securing his new role at Revelan Publishing, Jake Turner found himself embroiled in an intense legal battle that tested his resilience and integrity. The non-compete agreement that TechPro Automation suddenly produced, a document he didn't remember signing, was just the beginning of a calculated effort to derail his career. The signature on the paper appeared authentic, but Jake was convinced the terms had been misrepresented or forged, a tactic to intimidate him and block his progress in the industry. As the legal threats escalated, false accusations followed. Jake was accused of stealing client files and manipulating sales contracts to inflate his commissions. These baseless claims threatened to tarnish his reputation, casting doubt on his professionalism and ethics. Yet, beneath the surface, the truth was far more disturbing. A confidential call from Jessica, a loyal accountant still working at TechPro, exposed the dark underbelly of the company's operation. She had witnessed Marcus Ellis, the vice president who fired Jake, secretly downloading Jake's entire client folder from the company server and deleting the originals to fabricate evidence against him. Though fearful for her job, Jessica's disclosure provided Jake with a crucial insight into the lengths to which TechPro's leadership would go to silence dissent. Simultaneously, Tyler Reynolds, a former colleague, came forward with damning evidence of a systematic commission skimming scheme. Tyler revealed spreadsheets, emails, and financial records showing that senior executives diverted millions of dollars into a secret executive performance fund, effectively stealing from their own sales force. His confession was a pivotal moment, shining light on a widespread culture of corruption. The revelations deepened when Kevin Blackwell, another former top performer at TechPro who had been ousted under suspicious circumstances, reached out. Kevin shared extensive documentation of fraud involving inflated expenses, kickbacks from vendors, and manipulated project costs orchestrated by top management. His story was heartbreaking after discovering the fraud. Kevin faced threats against his family and was forced out to silence him. With mounting evidence, Jake and his legal team escalated the matter to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the State Attorney General's office. The investigation was swift and thorough. Federal agents raided TechPro's headquarters, seizing computer servers and crucial documents. Key figures, including Marcus Ellis and the CFO, were arrested and faced criminal charges. Despite attempts by TechPro to publicly defame Jake, alleging theft and manipulation, the tide had turned. Former employees stepped forward sharing similar experiences of exploitation. A class action lawsuit followed, representing dozens of victims cheated out of rightful commissions. Throughout the ordeal, Jake remained focused on his new role, channeling his energy into rebuilding a transparent and ethical sales division at Revelan. His leadership propelled the team to double its revenue, attracting top talent, including former TechPro employees seeking a fresh start. Ultimately, TechPro's executives pleaded guilty or faced convictions. The company was sold at a fraction of its former valuation. Jake received back commissions and damages amounting to $147,000, a hard-earned vindication. The fallout culminated in the resignation of TechPro's CEO and board members, signaling a long overdue reckoning. Jake's reputation was restored, and he was promoted to vice president, recognized for his perseverance and ethical leadership. Sitting with his family, Jake's father expressed pride not in the legal victory, but in his son's unwavering integrity throughout the fight. Jake understood that true success is not measured solely by financial gain, but by remaining true to one's values, even when faced with adversity. His journey serves as a powerful reminder: no matter the obstacles, steadfastness and honesty can overcome corruption and deceit. And sometimes, the greatest victories come not from fighting back with anger, but rising above with dignity and determination. Jake Turner's long fight for justice culminated in a courtroom showdown that shook the very foundations of TechPro Automation. Victoria Reynolds, the vice president of sales who had publicly fired him, now faced serious allegations of fraud, misconduct, and breach of fiduciary duty. The trial was not just about Jake's wrongful termination, but the unraveling of a corporate culture built on deception and greed. Walking into the courtroom, Jake was calm but determined. The years of hard work and the pain of betrayal fueled his resolve. The jury listened intently as Jake recounted how he had spent 4 years doubling revenue for TechPro, closing major contracts like the $2 million Abbott manufacturing deal, often sacrificing personal time and money to deliver results. He explained the toxic environment where credit was stolen by superiors and how repeated requests for a well-deserved raise were ignored. The prosecution presented witnesses from the sales team, suppliers and clients who testified about Jake's dedication, honesty, and the manipulative tactics used by company executives to undermine him. Recorded conversations revealed how Victoria dismissed supplier visits as obsolete and pushed a ruthless cost-cutting agenda that alienated key partners. A pivotal moment came when Tyler Reynolds, a former colleague, broke down under questioning and admitted to participating in and exposing the commission skimming scheme orchestrated by senior management. His testimony detailed how millions were siphoned from rightful commissions into secret accounts, betraying countless salespeople. The court also heard from Kevin Blackwell, a once top-performing salesman unjustly pushed out after discovering financial misconduct. His testimony exposed further layers of fraud involving kickbacks and falsified expenses. Both men's courage to speak out despite personal risks highlighted the deep rot within TechPro. Throughout the trial, Jake remained composed, focusing on facts and evidence rather than emotion. He demonstrated how his contracts and performance had always been transparent, and how the company's fabricated non-compete and theft accusations were baseless attempts to silence him. After weeks of hearings, the jury returned a decisive verdict, guilty on multiple counts of fraud and breach of duty against Victoria and her accomplices. The decision marked a turning point, not only vindicating Jake but signaling the end of a corrupt era at TechPro. Following the verdict, Jake was reinstated with full honors, promoted to Chief Operating Officer, and tasked with restoring the company's reputation. He immediately set about rebuilding fractured supplier relationships and mending trust with clients, emphasizing transparency, fairness, and respect. Within months, TechPro's operations stabilized. Revenue rebounded, client retention improved, and employee morale rose. Jake's leadership style, one that valued people and long-term partnerships, proved that success built on integrity could outperform cutthroat tactics. Jake's journey is a powerful testament to resilience and the importance of standing up for what's right, even when facing overwhelming odds. It underscores that true leadership is not about wielding power, but about earning trust and fostering collaboration. Months after the courtroom victory, Jake Turner stood quietly in his new office at Revelan Publishing, reflecting on a journey marked by betrayal, resilience, and ultimately justice. The executives at TechPro Automation who had tried to destroy his career faced prison sentences. The company itself was sold for a fraction of its former value. But for Jake, the real triumph wasn't the settlement check or the headlines. It was reclaiming his integrity and proving that truth and perseverance could overcome even the darkest adversity. Life settled into a new rhythm. Jake kept his humble old Honda, a daily reminder that success is not about flashy possessions but about staying true to who you are. He built a thriving division grounded in honesty, transparency, and respect. Values that had once seemed endangered but now shone brighter than ever. This story is more than a tale of corporate drama. It's a lesson about the power of standing firm in your principles, even when the world seems stacked against you. When betrayed or overlooked, don't let bitterness consume you. Instead, channel your pain into quiet strength. Build your future on integrity, resilience, and faith in justice. No matter how tough the fight, remember this: your character is your most valuable asset. Betrayal can break trust, but it can never break your spirit unless you allow it. Keep your head high, your heart steady, and your values unshaken. Success built on honesty will always endure. If Jake's story inspired you, drop a comment below sharing your own experiences or thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift and empower. Let's grow stronger together, one story at a time.